In this video, we're going to look at a different type of chronograph called the Speedtracker Mach4. Gavin here from UltimateReloader.com. I'm joined this time by our very own Kyle Shields. Thank you for joining us, Kyle.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Kyle spent the majority of the hands-on time with the Speedtracker, so this was kind of a team effort. We both shot a little bit with it, and before we get into the specifics, I thought it'd be cool to talk about a backgrounder on chronograph technology.
Sure.
And here at Ultimate Reloader, we've actually used all of these different technologies. Let's start with the old favorite, optical. Right? You have a light source, whether it be the sun or LED lighting or something like that. The bullet travels through a frame. The shadow is cast on one sensor, and then another sensor calculates the elapsed time between the two, and you're off and running. It's tried and true. It's plenty accurate. It can take a little bit more time to set up and can be a bit bulky. Also, we film a lot in the snow and in the rain, and when you need that 6 feet beyond the muzzle, you know, that could be out in the elements. It presents a little bit of challenges, but for simplicity and actually affordability as well, it's really not a bad option.
Yeah, they're probably the cheapest ones out there as far as a chronograph goes. But yeah, they're fiddly to set up, and me personally, it takes a while when I'm up there to set one up because you're back and forth. If you're by yourself, it's really hard. If you have another person with you or a friend, it's great, but it takes a while to set up by yourself, and yeah, it can be iffy on sunlight or snow or things like that.
Yeah, if you have the wrong kind of glare or whatever, those shadows can get a little bit dodgy and get erratic results.
Yeah.
The second type is an interesting one. So we've used in the past the shot marker system. Shot marker system detects the sonic crack with 4 different sensors from the bullet, and it can position the bullet within 1 millimeter to 3 millimeters, something like that. And as a side benefit, it can also calculate the velocity. The downside is a couple things with that velocity. First, it's not quite as accurate as something like an optical chronograph or Doppler or whatever. The second is you need a crack, and that means it needs to be going supersonic. So if you're trying to do something, you know, with 300 blackout or a pistol, whatever, that can be a problem. And then also, it's the velocity at the target, so not the velocity at the muzzle. So I've had to use some math reverse engineering. Still a handy capability to have, but it's kind of that. It's kind of a bolt-on accessory to a target system typically. And then how about magnetic?
Yeah, I definitely like the magnetic ones. They're easy to set up, especially as an individual, or if you don't have anyone with you, you don't need to go down range, or if you're in a public range or a gun club, you don't need to go cold or anything like that. You just put it at the end of your barrel and start shooting, and you could see everything right there. It's very convenient. So
yeah, we have a couple different magneto speed magnetic chronographs, and there's a couple things that irritate me about them. The first is they do affect your barrel tune. So if you're doing low development, that's something to be aware of. Interestingly, sometimes it doesn't make that much of a difference. You know, barrel harmonics are kind of an interesting phenomena, and it is rubber isolated. So it's traditionally been pretty good, but there can definitely be some differences there. And then you have to use spacers, and it can be tricky to mount, and then you need to be a 1/4 inch off the bore axis. You know, like it's a little fiddly, right? And then if you're using a suppressor, you have to have a separate isolated mount, and then guys will run isolated mounts off the bottom so that you don't affect the barrel tune. So it's kind of different pros and cons there, I guess.
That becomes more set up with that, especially with the suppressor. So yeah, it's a little bit more, you use it and then take it off versus just letting it go and having a all-in-one solution you don't have to mess with. I don't know, it's more of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, each tool has its pros and cons, as does each technology supported by each tool. And then finally there's radar, and this has become a lot more popular in the last 5 to 10 years, I would say. And that's where the Speedtracker falls, is in this radar product domain. So what I like about this unit is the simplicity of it. You can have a separate like tripod style mount, or you can mount it to the gun. We had better results with it mounted to the gun. You get a lot more data points. So with most chronographs, it's kind of here's a speed at a given point in time at a particular proximity from the muzzle. The Doppler can, you know, track the bullet as it heads downrange, and that's more data, can lead to more analytics, that kind of thing. This device is simple, it's compact, It's battery powered. It's pretty much self-contained. You know, there's the companion app on the phone.
That's right.
The cons would be you do have to have it properly aligned, and there is potentially an issue with isolating your shots from the guy that's shooting next to you. Although we found that it's pretty sensitive, even on your own rifle, getting it aligned and all that. So it doesn't seem like picking up stray shots is going to be a big problem, but I guess more testing would be necessary.
That's right, yeah.
So the Speedtracker can capture shots up to 4,000 feet per second, which is going to cover pretty much anything I've ever done.
Yeah, I can't think of any other use cases outside of that, so that will cover about everybody.
Yep. And each time a shot is captured, you're going to get between 20 and 2,000 points. That is a lot of data.
It is. Yeah, so the app will have different colors, so it'll be from red to green. So green being the best when you're shooting. When you see the green as it's tracking, that means you're in the sweet spot. Red means you might need to readjust the chronograph a little bit. Pretty simple.
Yep, and at 6.7 ounces, definitely very compact. You're not even going to feel the weight in your range bag.
No.
Doesn't take up a lot of space. That's probably one of the coolest things I think about this system.
It is, and you can actually that's what I did, put it in the bag as is, and you're ready to go when you're setting up. You don't need to do anything. Just turn it on, connect to your phone or tablet.
6-hour battery, that's going to cover just about any session. It's got the integrated battery, USB-C for charging, and so couldn't be more simple that way. And I don't know much about radar. 120 gigahertz radar chip sounds pretty good.
Supposedly that's really good. That's
Really?
what I've heard. Yeah.
So, setting up the Speedtracker, you're going to get it out of the box. You're going to plug it into power so that it gets charged. You're going to mount it. So, we had to throw a Picatinny section on the side of the chassis. If you've got an integral Picatinny rail on the bottom, that'd be a good place for it. And when it's mounted, then you need the app, right? The companion app is what drives the whole experience.
Yep. Yeah, so you want to download the Speedtracker Mach4 app, and that's how I searched it for. We're using the iPad, so Apple. So in the Apple Store, you're going to want to just search that and download it says M4 on it, and that's the latest version because supposedly they have an older version that isn't supported anymore.
Right.
So all you do is just download the app. Once you get it installed, real simple, it pulls up, and you just hit connect. That's it. You just want to make sure Bluetooth's enabled and everything and allow it. That's it, connected. Simple as that.
And we tried it not only on the iPad, but also on the iPhone. So if you want to just use the device that you already have in your pocket, obviously that's a good option. Do they have an Android app as well?
They do. I don't know if they have this latest version. I'm assuming they do, but they do have an Android version too.
Nice. Okay. And connect and use.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the shooting that we did do. This is a 6-arc here.
Right.
Started with 6-arc, and tell me about the process of using the app, shooting and capturing things. We've got a lens here.
Yeah, yep, that's right. Mounting it was simple. In fact, when I installed the Picatinny rail in here and just popped it on, I was like, that's it, and I guess so. So I just headed on up to L1 where we occasionally go shoot. And
it's our mid-mountain range.
Mid-mountain range,
Yep.
yeah. And just started shooting some strings with this thing, and that was all with bare muzzle, just like how you see it here, mounted to the side. And then after that, I moved to the 300 PRC, and I decided to mount it underneath on the 300 PRC, also with a Picatinny adapter too. It has an EC tuner brake on it, so I thought this would be a good chance to try something with a brake.
Yeah.
And same thing, consistent. All 5
Nice.
shots were detected. Everything worked great. So yeah, real easy to use. Simple as that.
Now there is a suppressor mount. Is that
There is.
correct?
There is.
That uses a band, and it kind of clamps onto the suppressor. And there's also a small little tripod thing.
Right.
And we did try the standalone mount separate from the rifle, and that didn't seem to track as well.
No.
So the direct mount is kind of our recommendation for that.
Definitely, yeah. If you might have to play with where it's going to be positioned at, but I found towards the front on this particular chassis worked really well. I didn't try placing it further back or anything, but yeah, you may need to adjust it slightly. They do sell a swivel type mount it's like a Picatinny swivel adapter thing.
Nice.
And you can position it and get a little bit more like fine tuning, if you will, for that.
Yeah, kind of a first look for us. A couple quick use cases. We just got this unit in and wanted to put it to use. Overall, I think this is great for its compactness and its flexibility. You know, someone like a PRS shooter could make good use of this. NRL hunter stuff. The compact design is great, but the alignment is critical. And like we just stated, we would recommend using a direct mount that has some inherent alignment with the bore axis of the rifle. So if you're on a slope on your stock, that might not work as well. We didn't try that. Everything here is parallel with the bore axis, which just makes it that much easier. What we'd like to know is, what do you think of the Speedtracker? Is this the kind of device that you'd want to use? And if so, what would you be using it for and with? Would it be for load development? Would it be for getting calculations for your dope for a PRS match? Would you be using, the data for analytics to compare loads? Drop a comment and let's start that discussion. Thank you, Kyle, for doing the testing on this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Expect to see the Speedtracker in future stories. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you want to learn lucrative gunsmithing like what I show here on the channel, including building custom rifles and Cerakote plus a whole bunch more, you're going to want to check out the Colorado School of Trades, schooloftrades.edu. Thanks again for watching.